Hello and welcome to the last edition of Network Africa for the year. I'm Layo Adegoke. South Africa has lifted overnight curfew rules, with officials saying the country may have passed the peak of its fourth wave of COVID-19 infections. The government statement said the Omicron variant, while highly transmissible, had seen lower hospitalization rates than previous waves. There had been a marginal increase in the number of deaths. Well, the variant, first reported by South Africa last month, is spreading fast elsewhere, leading to widespread curbs.
According to the experts, Omicron has reached the peak, having reached the peak with clinical manifestations that have not caused any alarm in the hospital situation. In the minds, or based on the experts, the conditions do allow that we lift the curfew. And I've already explained some of the key demands in the country, creating a situation where every opportunity that allows us to open up for economy, we take advantage of that. It is the view of the experts that Omicron has reached its peak. Because it has reached its peak, it is not expected to go beyond the peak. And because below that peak, clinical manifestations have not led to a significant change in the hospital load. That picture being at our disposal, the key thing then, what do we do about the economy, which is struggling? And our attempt, therefore, is to exploit every opportunity where we open up for the economy.
South Africans line up for a second day on Friday to pay their respects to Archbishop Desmond Tutu, whose body lay in state at the St. George's Cathedral in Cape Town for the second day. Members of the clergy and church wardens lined the streets as a guard of honor, waiting for the simple pine coffin with rope handles to arrive, while the St. George's Cathedral marching band filled the air with sounds of drums, flutes and trumpets. 6 black-robed pallbearers carried the closed coffin inside to an inner sanctuary amid a cloud of incense from an Anglican thurible. The cathedral's dean, Father Michael Weeder, says that Tutu's body would lie in state in the cathedral through the night after the public viewing ends at 5 p.m. local time. A long line snacked around the cathedral as mourners waited to pay their respects.
And he spread so much love to all the people of South Africa and the world, whether you're pink, yellow or blue, and also to the LGBT community, because he looked after them and he supported them, and also the Palestinian people.
People like Arch were able to lead protests and marches right here in the Cape. And this is why when we look back in his life, we are celebrating today, and particularly with his support for oppressed nations across the globe.
We as young activists believe that the Arch stood for the same values that we want to espouse in society. The Arch was one of those figures who continuously united us against oppressive systems globally, locally, and we want to continue in that path as young South African activists who emulate those values of non-racialism, non-sexism.
All preparations are underway for the Requiem Mass in his honor on New Year's Day. This will be the last public aspect of his funeral. Our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, gives an update from the St. George's Cathedral in Cape Town.
People have been queuing for a second day to pay their last respects to the late Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu, whose remains lie inside the St. George's Cathedral, Cape Town, behind me. We've spoken to the people on how they feel. You've heard the tributes from them as they come out of the church. And today we asked for something different, their impressions of their beloved Arch. And here's what we got. An artist's impression.
As I always paint the fallen legend and the heroes in South Africa and abroad, so I saw it fitting for me also to come all the way from Joburg and paint the Archbishop.
We also got attempts at his characteristic laughter.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think I can do it justice.
His laugh was, no, I cannot do it. He's a one-of-a-kind man, you know, he's a holy man.
His quotable quotes?
I'm warning you. That's the one I remember when he was talking to the ANC government.
Do good. No matter how small, just do good. And if all of us do our small little piece of good, it will grow into a big good for the benefit of the globe.
Wonderful, wonderful, that's what he will say.
Stories of the Arch in action.
Also, there was riots, and he in the middle of a lot of young people ready to throw arms. He just jumped out of the bus, hands in the air, waving. But remember, he's not the tallest of people. And he waved and he says, guys, this is not the way. Let us engage conversation, let us engage the opposition, and we find if we can resolve this amicably. And this led us to either developing a council, sending airing our views, our points, and resolving this amicably.
And last but not the least, his dance.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay.
Great effort with that dance. But on a more serious note, we understand that two former presidents, Halima Motlanthe as well as Thabo Mbeki, will be attending the Requiem Mass for the Arch tomorrow. And among the international guests that have been confirmed are a very good friend of the Arch, Sir Richard Branson, and the King of Lesotho, King Letsie III. Nigeria may likely be represented by our High Commissioner to South Africa, Ambassador Haruna Manta. From Cape Town, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
Well, Betty Dibia joins us now for more on this. Hello, Betty. Even as we look towards tomorrow, his funeral on January 1st, are there any changes perhaps? Or tell us more about how tomorrow is expected to pan out.
All right. Tomorrow, the media is expected to be there before 7 a.m. New Year's Day to go through security and be able to be within the vicinity or the precincts of the church. That's for the media. And the guests are expected to arrive about between 8 and 9, to be seated by 9. The service is expected, as of today, to be 2 hours, because we've heard 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and we heard 2 hours. Then the guest list has grown from 100 to 150 and back to 100 again. And it's been tough from what we've heard from some of the officials involved, trying to trim the number of guests for those who want to be there. So tomorrow, the Requiem Mass will happen. President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to speak, apart from the sermon. And after that, everybody goes. The rest will be private. As you have said several times, he has requested to be cremated. That will be a private part, and part of the ceremonies, and he'll be his remains will be interred at the crypt in the church.
All right, then tomorrow we would see how it all pans out. Thank you so much, Betty.
Thank you very much.
Well, as South Africa continues to celebrate the life of Archbishop Desmond Tutu, let's take a look at some notable deaths that happened in the year 2021. We'll begin with F.W. de Klerk. He was South Africa's last white president. He died on the 11th of November. For some, he was a great statesman, the Nobel Peace Prize winner who had helped end the system of legalized racism which he'd inherited. For others, he benefited enormously from that same system of apartheid which had segregated South Africa's people by skin color. Next is King Goodwill Zwelithini, who reigned over the Zulu nation in South Africa for half a century, and his position as a traditional ruler was recognized in the country's post-apartheid constitution, which meant he got state support. The father of 28 children from 6 wives died in March. Next is Kenneth Kaunda, Zambia's first president, one of the last of the generation of African leaders who fought colonialism. President Kaunda was a key figure in the movement for Northern Rhodesia to become independent from the UK. A man of great personal charm and popularly known as KK, he became president following independence in 1964. He died on the 17th of June. Moving on to Algeria, Abdelaziz Bouteflika, the country's longest-serving president. He died in September, and he was a dominant figure in Algerian politics for more than 6 decades. He served from 1999 until he was forced to resign in 2019. In 1963, he became the world's youngest Minister of Foreign Affairs, and that's a record that still stands till date. John Magufuli of Tanzania died on the 17th of March while being president. He came into power in 2015 and he was elected for a second term in 2020 amid opposition accusations of fraud and intimidation. Now, he was quite a controversial figure, one of Africa's most prominent coronavirus skeptics. Reflections on his time in power will be dominated by his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic when he called for prayers and herbal-infused steam therapy to counter the virus. However, his death brought about the historic inauguration of the country's and Eastern region's first female president, Samia Suluhu Hassan. Well, finally is Idris Deby, Chad's president for 30 years. Known as the Great Survivor, his luck finally ran out when he died of his injuries that he sustained on the front line in a battle against rebels back in April. He had just been re-elected for a 6th term and spent more than 3 decades in power as one of Africa's longest-serving leaders. Indeed, the year 2021 has been full of ups and downs, and Nigerians are hopeful that this new year 2022 will bring new hope. Well, let's listen to some of these expectations in this next report.
It's been a year of ups and downs, not just in Nigeria, but across the world. One made more turbulent as different variants of the COVID pandemic emerged, putting the health sector of many economies under pressure. Here in Nigeria, residents are hopeful that these troubles will begin to ease off.
We expect 2022 to be much better than 2021. Though 2021 was not as challenging as 2020 because of the COVID-19 restrictions. So for New Year resolutions, we would want restrictions to be less. That's in health-wise, that the health sector should address the issue of the Delta variants, Omicron variants. So health-wise, we want restrictions to be less. Then with regards to the government, if I'm not mistaken, 2022 will be the last full year that this government will have what's in power. So I would want them to make the most of the last 12 months that they'll have in power, because by 2023, May 2023, I believe this government will be out of power by then.
Many were affected by the hit on the economy, a situation they believe had more negative effect on the masses.
Government must also look at the economic situation of the country, must overhaul the economic situation of the country to make life more comfortable for the people, look into the welfare of workers, and so also infrastructural development. The government must look into this as well.
Standard of living, then security. When you have security, everything is settled.
There are expectations that good things will come with 2022.
I am expecting that the new year will come with good things. And I also expect that the government should cut down on some certain things. Put like especially price control. They should put in price control. Make sure things go and the prices are less for people, for the poor masses to be able to afford goods and services.
And from the government are these expectations.
Good governance, ensure adequate security, ensure enable environment for economic to thrive, ensure security for schools, and again, for in educational sector, governments must begin to give adequate attention to ASU's demand.
Top among it all is protection of lives and property of the people.
My greatest expectation for the year 2022 is all-round peace.
My expectation for New Year is that the Lord should bless me and protect Oyo State.
These expectations notwithstanding, the general atmosphere is one of hope that 2022 will be a better year.
Well, this is where we end Network Africa for today, but we'll leave you with highlights of major events that shaped 2021 here in Nigeria. Thank you so much for being a part of Network Africa. I'm Layo Adegoke. Have a wonderful new year.
Ushered in by a pandemic-weary world, 2021 started without the usual New Year's Day fanfare. A dominant theme as the year rolled in was hope. Hope that the world will overcome the economy-battering COVID-19 pandemic. Hope for recovery. Hope for security. For a country without the savagery of bandits and terrorists, free of the security challenges threatening the nation. The president echoed this hope in his New Year speech.
The year 2021 will indeed be a year where we will work to reinforce the hopes of fellow Nigerians.
But 2021 had its own ideas, and it took us on an emotional roller coaster. We had tragedy.
Air Force plane on surveillance mission to Niger State crash lands in Abuja, killing all passengers and crew on board.
I saw the pilots were struggling.
Children were taken away from schools.
We are ready to negotiate the life of our children.
Many returned.
I give God all the glory.
But others didn't make it.
The law enforcement agencies are working hard.
There were setbacks.
Tonight, emotions run high as the remains of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and other officers who died in yesterday's plane crash are buried at the military cemetery Abuja.
The war against insecurity seemed insurmountable.
Gunmen again razed a divisional police headquarters in Mbano local government area of the state.
It wasn't all violent. We made it to the Olympics, the Paralympics. The year had its share of protests and outrage.
We have never had it
worse. There were shocking murders.
When I stabbed him the first one twice, I threw the knife on the bed.
And a pandemic that that refused to go away.
Right now we found, as of this morning, 32 confirmed cases of the Delta variant in Nigeria. 32.
Even as we struggle to stand in queues, we got help and bans.
Federal government wields big stick on social media microblogging platform Twitter suspends its operations in Nigeria indefinitely.
The government has decided to add Nigeria to the travel red list.
The decision by the British government to put Nigeria on the red list is unjust and discriminatory.
The political drama never stopped.
But you know inside you, inside your heart, that we are not about stuff.
Since 2019, I have not had anything to do with any political organization in this country.
We had wins. And a Nigerian made history. Tragedy never stopped.
Tonight, multi-story building collapses in the Ikoyi area of Lagos.
And there was a whirlwind of controversies. We had sad goodbyes. Closed major deals and made gains from tech. In 2021, we got stolen artifacts back and we were royally blessed.
And I decree unprecedented and uncommon peace, prosperity, progress, development upon this land.
2022, be nice.